The TSW Roundtable is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Follow at SW Commonwealth on Twitter and take your first steps into a larger world. Hey everyone, just a quick message to let everybody know before the episode starts that this episode of TSW Roundtable was recorded the weekend just before Christmas started. And we had to record between Australia, California, British Columbia, Canada, Ontario, Canada, and, well, with being Christmas weekend, there's family in the background and connections fuzz in and out, but we did our best to have a good time on this episode, so just a quick heads up, bear that in mind. We did the best we could, but this episode came out pretty good, despite all our audio issues, so without further ado, here is our retrospective of Return of the Jedi.
Hello there.
You want the bad news?
Roger, roger.
The Force, it's calling to you.
This is not going to go the way you think.
Now you will experience the full power of the dark side. That's not how the Force works.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
This is madness.
Let the past die. Kill it.
It's a trap! Fulfill your destiny. No!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the TSW Roundtable. Once again, I am your moderator, Robert Cass, and today we continue our retrospective series with Return of the Jedi. And I know I say this a lot, but we have a really fantastic show here for you today. First off, I'm going to introduce my co-host all the way from the left coast, well, my left coast in Canada, my good buddy Rob-Yees from the Generation X-Men podcast. Say hi, Rob.
Yub nub, everybody.
Yub nub.
Yub nub.
Welcome. And to those, I guess, to the people that like the special editions, I guess Yub nub is a new thing.
Is it really?
I don't know. Didn't they take out the Yub nub at the end of Jedi?
Yeah, it's always in my heart, so I'm just it's always with me.
Well, we'll I'm sure we'll get on the topic of yub nubbing and don't drink and yub nub and don't drive and yub nub and we'll get on with that. But Rob, awesome, you joined me for the Phantom Menace retrospective.
Yes, I did.
Great time.
Lots of fun. Lots of fun.
These are. I'm really spoiled. I say this a lot, but I get to talk to a whole bunch of people about that really love Star Wars and specifically love these movies that we're diving into. So.
And I get to not host, which is always lovely. Merry Christmas to me.
Merry Christmas. Yeah, for those who are listening, I'm sure this might come out in February. So it's Christmas when we're recording. This is actually...
Merry Valentine's Day to me.
Merry... So all these guys are... we're all trying to get this done, and this is the weekend right before Christmas. So again, thank you guys for jumping on with me. You know, I know this is a busy time of year, but we're carving out an hour to get this done, and I really appreciate it. So
I'm carving out pumpkins right now. This is filmed in October.
Oh,
what are you talking
about? All right, so I'm going to introduce our knight from the Generation X-Wing podcast, and he's a first timer on the round table. We're gonna,
and I'm sorry about that.
Say hi to all the way from California, US of A. Corey, welcome to the round table.
What's up? How's it going? Hello.
Yay.
So
Yay.
I guess this has been a long time coming, right, Corey? Because we're mutual fans of you have a podcast, the Big Open podcast. I love your show, and we've been bantering on Twitter and Facebook and all that other good stuff. And now finally, here we are. We get to pod together. So
finally, I am honored. Practically speechless, so we'll see where this goes.
Well, don't be speechless. That's makes for horrible podcasting. So, all right, and also too, if you're keeping track or if you're pitting little push pins in your map, you're going to need one a little bit bigger than North America because my good friend Matthew from Australia has joined us. Matthew, say hi to everybody.
You rebel scum.
Yay.
Hey guys, how we doing?
We are doing really, really well. And I should warn the audience, these roundtables are very informal and we throw them together pretty quick. And it's just, this isn't a beat for beat. We're going to go over Return of the Jedi, like note for note, scene by scene. No, we're just going to, where were we when it came out or first time saw? What are your thoughts? What's your favorite scene? So this is just to be a mishmash. And please understand, I'm about 30 minutes west of Toronto. Rob Williams, you're in BC, around the Vancouver area. We got Corey from California, and we got Matt from Australia. So if this call holds together, it'll be a miracle all on its own. So it will be a Christmas miracle. So
Come on, baby, hold together.
hold together. Stay on target. Stay on target. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna toss it off to my co-host Rob. Where were you when Return of the Jedi came out, and where'd you first see it?
The year was 1983.
Yes.
It was. I was seriously. How old was I? 83. I was 11 years old. I saw it in the theater. This is the first movie I remember seeing in the theater. My dad says I saw the other two in theater, although he keeps confusing with E.T., I think. But I saw this in theater. I saw it at the Haida in Victoria. And I've talked about this in the past on my show, and as well as Steve Kirk's San Diego Sabres show. But there's fond memories of this because I was prepped for this. I was reading up on it. I was looking at all the books and stuff, anything I can get. And back then, it was hard. There was no internet, right? So any information you get from action figures, from books, from pictures, newspapers, whatever it was, which was scarce, that's what I would glom onto. And I was curious about these monsters. And so I still remember going into the theater all orange and brown and red velvet color. Maybe it's pleather? No.
Pleather?
It was kind of reddish seats and stuff. And just listen. And I remember distinctly there was like music. They had the Ewok music playing, not the ending music, but just kind of that background music. It was playing in the theater. I maybe I'm misremembering things, but I swear I was listening to like that type of music as before the movie started, and it was kind of cool. And it was a great movie. It never disappointed me. Me and my brother and my mom was there, and as before in the past, I remember after the movie was over, we jumped back into our 79 Sunbird across the street, and my brother was crying. He's about 7 years old at the time. And we were like, what's wrong? And he was sad that one of the Ewoks died. And we were trying to soothe him and make him sure he was feeling okay. And it was a great memory. And that's why it's like at the top of my list of favorite Star Wars movies. And I know it's not the best made movie, but it is my favorite movie because it was right at that ripe age. You're 11 years old. You're taking in everything and anything at that time. So whatever came through the crosshairs, that's your favorite. And Return of the Jedi made it for me. So and there's more history to it, but we'll talk about that later.
Of course, yeah. And you know what? I'm going to jump in real fast just because I think I'm 1 year your junior, Rob. I was 10 years old when this movie came out, and I don't have to say the same thing you did because I can literally echo everything you said, except for I didn't have your brother crying in my car. But, I'm sure.
I can send him over if you want.
No. It's fine.
Those really are the best memories when you have siblings crying in the background. All right, come on.
Exactly right.
Especially when you initiate it.
Yes, but what you said, Rob, you were saying something about getting information everywhere. I remember trying to get as much information out of the trading cards, out of the back of the action figures, like the quick little description, like that. I know it seems weird now, but that's literally all we had to go on when we're playing with these figures or doing these. And if you studied these trading cards or the back of the figures or the boxes, and you can really drop some knowledge on the schoolyard. Saying no, this guy here is that, or actually knowing a proper name for something was a huge deal. So yeah, I was same thing, theater, and I was 10 years old, right at the perfect age. So much curiosity, so much build up to it, and this was going to end the saga. So this was it. This was the big movie. Like we couldn't, it wouldn't at the time. I don't think it could get any bigger. E.T. Rob, we were talking about this before we recorded. Was a great movie and was a big movie, but it wasn't Return of the Jedi. Like it didn't have the gravitas of leading up to it. Yes, it was the bigger motion picture, but it didn't mean as much.
It was a one-off, basically.
Of course, yeah.
And although I never realized that Return of the Jedi would be the last movie, I never thought of it that way. I never thought about canon. I just saw it was the next part of the story. And from all I knew, they could have made a fourth one. They made a fifth one. And we even heard of that. I still remember Billy D. Williams. I don't trust my memory anymore from when I was a kid. But I swear Billy D. Williams coming up on Merv Griffith, the Merv Griffith show, and talking about a part 7, 8, and 9. And I still remember him talking about that, but that was before we even talked about episode 1, 2, 3 coming out, and it was just and we also know that even in England, Hamill and Carrie Fisher went on a kids show, and they start talking about how George Lucas wants to make it another episode when they get older and stuff. Right. There's always talk of that, but as a kid, I just want to know about aliens. So.
Oh, for sure, and actually all that talk, like now we can hit on on our Facebook feed, it's like, oh, did you hear what Daisy Ridley said on this show in Australia or anywhere, right? We pick up on it right away, but at the time, like if they said something that what didn't happen to me watching TV or reading a paper at the time, I had no idea. Like it was just totally off my radar. So
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna pass things around. We're gonna go down under. Matthew,
down under.
Where were you, or how did you first see this movie?
I wasn't even on this planet in 1983. So,
right.
Yes, we got to stick together, Matt. Right.
I know, man. But for me, like Star Wars has always just been like I remember bugging my brother to put on the VHS of the movie with the glowing guys in the desert. So the Jar was in A New Hope, and Empire, it cut out halfway just after Yoda pulled the X-Wing out of the swamp and it turned into Pete's Dragon. But yeah, Return of the Jedi, that's the one that got the most plays for me for sure. Maybe because there was a bit more action in it, I reckon. Like especially in the last half of the movie, you got the space battle, you got the ground battle, you got the lightsaber battle up on the Death Star. And the other ones, like A New Hope, had like cool action and stuff like that running around the Death Star, but Empire was definitely a story-driven episode. Like my favorite part was the AT-AT battles, but yeah, for me, Return of the Jedi, it's just always been, and like Star Wars as a whole, it's just always been for me. So, but yeah, Return of the Jedi, yeah, that for me has been my favorite throughout all the years. So, and Rogue One kind of competes with it a little bit, but again, there are a lot of similarities. You got the ground battle, you got the sky battle, and then you got the intimate one as well. So it depends on which movie I've watched most recently as to which is my favorite. Right. Same as like most TV shows, like The Sopranos or The Wire or whatever. But yeah, Return of the Jedi, it's always going to have a special place for me. Wookiees, Ewoks aside.
Yeah, I found everybody I talked to on these retrospectives, it's always a fluid list on what's their favorite. It moves. It depends what mood you're in. You mean, like it's usually without fail, 9 times out of 10, Empires at the top and Attack of the Clones at the bottom. And but that doesn't mean Attack of the Clones is a bad movie. It's just if it's the worst Star Wars movie, it still might be in your top 50 of favorite movies. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. So the Jedi is always it just even from someone that's younger. Like I know it has a lot of nostalgia value for Rob and I, but for other people, they genuinely love it. So Corey, what do you think of Return of the Jedi? Well, where were you?
I was in my living room, very, very young when I first saw it. My stepfather at the time was super obsessed with Star Wars. He had like action figures all over his office. Like he had like first edition action figures and comics and everything. He was a collector, and he made me watch that movie like right when I was of age, when I understood a little bit of what it meant to watch Star Wars. But yeah, I really loved it. It's definitely one of my favorites too. I feel like there's a parallel emotional line like from my city all the way to Australia to where Matt's living, right. Directly through the center of the earth, Yeah, I feel the same exact way that he does. Like it's a great movie. I can't, it brings me back to like being with family and having siblings crying in the background, so it's a good thing.
Awesome.
You were that sibling.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to pass it back off to Rob Williams because I'm going to get this in nice and early. Reminiscing.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, now forgive me for this was his first appearance on screen.
Reminiscing? Yes, it was. His first and only appearance.
His first and only. That has to be rectified.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I totally agree. I'm expecting a 6-part miniseries attached to the Mandalorian soon. So
of course. Okay, so get into it. There's I'm going to let you say, but there's a backstory to your Ree's love.
Yes. The year was 1984.
Of course.
Basically, in grade 4, I had built a mask out of paper mache, and I had a fascination for Reese, and because he looked funny, so I made a paper mache mask, which kind of looked like him. It's hard not to make something that looks kind of like him: 3 eyes, big long nose, big ears. It's looks like a three-eyed goat. It's not hard to design something like that.
Right.
And so I kind of have fascination with the looks of it. I had fascination with like Rusty Miller's Empire Strikes Back book, quiz book, and all sort of stuff. So I was all over it. And so in grade 6, I decided to dress up as him for this book contest. It was not a contest. We just had to dress up as a favorite character from a book. And I kind of fibbed it. And I was like, well, Star Wars had a book. Rusty Miller, he made a book about Star Wars. Okay, well, I'll use that. And so I took the mask and I put on a sweater and some maroon pants and gum boots and painted my hands kind of red and knuckled them up, right? So because, Ree's
Nice.
hands are all knuckled. He's got these weird sausage fingers or whatever it is. And so I posed for it. And there's a picture on our Facebook site. And I kind of call myself the unofficial very first Ree's cosplayer.
Nice.
And I just recently found out, and this is really cool, that the very first Ree's costume has been approved by the 501st within the last week as of December.
Oh, wow.
And my Facebook blew up with my friends from Hosenose from Victoria and my friends Aaron from the 501st. They were like, Rob, should be you. And I was, and it should be. Honestly, God, it should be. If I had a couple $1,000s just to drop, I would be all over it. If I had time to make something, I'd be all over it. Because I know they sell a mask of Ree's.
Yes.
But I have this fascination with this character because he's just a funny-looking character. And I found him funny when he's hooting and hollering as Luke falls down the pit, when he's mugging C-3PO behind Jabba. He's just everywhere. He's having a drunk fight with Yak Face out on the barge. He's everywhere, and he's a sad, sad person. And the fact that it ticks off Ben from the Skyhoppers so much,
Yes.
and it just makes me like swell with pride. And I love Ben so much. He's such a wonderful person, and it's just I like bugging him a little bit about it because he hates it because the Dark Force is the video game.
Right.
Yeah. Ree's was the reason I bought not only the game Dark Forces, but a computer to play the game.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was just like, I need to get this game. Ree's is in it. I need a computer to play this game. Okay, I'll do that. I don't know anything about computers. I'll do that.
New GoFundMe. New GoFundMe to get you a costume for Ree's.
It's $600 American, which translates to 2.5 million Canadian.
Yes.
Then you got to put the costume together. But it's a really cool costume. It's something I really want to do. I think I don't like to use the word bucket list, but I might have to put this on my bucket list. And as soon as I get my Scout Trooper costume, because that's the other thing I'm putting together. I'm actually holding my helmet right beside us here. But Ree's has a fascination with me. I collect as much as I can, and there's not a lot out there, which is even better. So
yeah, no, and it's almost like if you knew this was like, because it's such a weird like costume, obviously, and a weird cosplay, and even for the 501st, like if I'm sure if you had an inkling that it was possible before you started your armor, I'm sure it might have tipped the scales a little bit.
Yeah,
and
it would have, because I didn't know that this company had made a mask, official mask of, well, not official, but a mask of Ree's and Greedo and some other, and Squidface, I think, as well, Tessic. But they had made a mask, and it's still on sale for $600. And I'm thinking I might even just like save up $50 a month and buy it before the end of the year just to have the mask in hands.
Hell,
just to say
I'll
have
help
it.
you. I'll help you just to see Ben's face when you get it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now, is there something kind of like poetic about Ree's silencing 3PO when Han's being defrosted, like and Ben being a very 3PO kind of dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my!
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's serendipitous. It's just it makes sense, and especially in our Star Wars Commonwealth, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
If you want some fun, go back to one of our GXW verses. Riley was on that show along with Steve Kirk from the San Diego Sabres, and I believe Asher's on that from the Skyhoppers as well.
I remember,
and I invited them on, and I won't tell you the end, but basically all the questions, to everybody's surprise, was Ree's and Grand related, and it is my favorite episode I think I've done since doing this entire podcast for the last 3 years. It's my favorite episode, and it's not because it's Ree's. It's just because of the fun we had and the reactions that happened on that show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and high recommend from me because that is fabulous. Generation X-Wing is it should be appointment listening to begin with, but that particular episode was just outstanding.
One last thing, I tried to get I have a personalized license plate. It's got GXW on it,
right?
But they rejected my first option, which was re-ease, and they rejected my second option, which was re-ease, but the E's replaced with 3s.
Why?
And I was like, why did they reject this? There's no way someone in the province of British Columbia has this license plate.
Right.
And I looked I even, you Google that sort of thing just to make sure nothing dirty came up in other languages. And one gentleman told me that when I went to take a look at it again to see if I can do it this year, he said that re-ease is very similar to a word, I can't remember what language it is. I don't know if it's Farsi or Persian, but it's similar to means wealth. So I'm just curious to see if I can't see why it's a problem. So
I wouldn't go that far down the road. I think it was Ben. He bought all the license plates and the rights to it.
You beat me to it.
No. Yeah.
Out of spot.
Absolutely, and of course, and to those not in the know, Rob, you are looking to become a member of the 501st.
Yes, I'm building my Scout Trooper armor. Again, Scout Trooper is one of my favorite stormtroopers from Return of the Jedi. So I'm building the armor. I even got my own show called The Outer Rim Rookie, which is I decided with me and my friend Terry, who when we started this was as a commanding officer of the 501st Outer Rim Garrison, British Columbia. He's also a prop maker for movies such as or for TV shows such as DC Legends and some other movies and stuff. And he's helped me put my armor together. We do a how-to of how to put your armor together for Scout Trooper. And it's informative. It helps people, and also gives you information about the 501st as well, and how helpful we are. I say we, like I'm part of them still, but how helpful
you're like a Padawan, aren't you, or something? Because
I help out a bit. I do some handling here and there as much as I can, and I'm going to do a little bit more as time goes by. But it's basically teaching those about the 501st, how to get in the 501st, and it's not easy, but it's not as hard as you think either.
No, and we're kind of kindred spirits because I myself, I'm in the Astromech Builders Club, and I'm building a 1-for-1 R2-D2, and I chose, and lots of people build choppers or have the green R2 or whatever they like, different droids, but I'm going for like the New Hope R2, and we are both middle-aged dads with real jobs and whatnot, and we're podcasters too, so like your armor build and my R2 are like way down the list at the end of the day, and it takes
not by
time.
choice.
No, of course not, but it takes time. Like we have other, obviously we're not gonna push time away. No, we can't play with our kids right now. I have an R2 to build. No. Like it's when the kids are asleep or somewhere else or at a relative's. But I've made myself a deadline. Episode 9, I got to be done because I want to wheel them around at the premiere, and that will be about 2.5 years from my start time. And apparently that's really normal. Like it's so.
Mine's not. Mine's been almost 3 years, and it's 2 years, and it's not normal because life gets in the way, right?
Of course, yeah.
But I've had friends in the 501st who built theirs within 6-7 months, and it can be possible as long as you A, put some effort and time towards it, B, put some money towards it. It will cost a bit, and C, get some connections with the 501st and people to help you. And that's the hardest part for a lot of people. They don't want to make those connections with their friends or soon to be friends. It's hard for some people to get out there and talk to some strangers and ask for help. Yes. But you got to make connections.
I'm working on this project myself, actually. It's called Paying Rent this month.
Oh, yes.
I hope you guys... I'm just letting you guys...
Speaking of GoFundMes.
Yeah, go for it. Hey, we've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
So,
you guys, but the droid, though, I have to say, it looks amazing. I saw the Instagram pictures. Oh, my gosh, man. You are doing such a good job on that thing.
Well, he's getting there, and my R2, if I'm Cast1973 on Instagram, I just posted some pics, and I do have his legs. They're roughed in, but... there's a lot of things that go along with it, and we're straying a little from Jedi, but I'm going to get to our favorite characters because Rob, with your Rees, I'm going to jump over to Corey and Matt here in a second. But yeah, these things are passion projects, and again, and I'm sure Rob and I, if we didn't podcast and we used our podcasting time towards our builds, we'd be done by now. But
don't do it.
No.
Don't do it. All right.
We're not giving this up. No way, not a chance. So I'm gonna flip it over to Corey. I love it. Can be a legacy character. Like I love R2. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, I have a passion for him. So Corey, Return of the Jedi. What's your favorite character out of this movie?
I'm pretty basic, man. I have to say my favorite character is Han Solo. 100%. Yeah, he's been my favorite character since the start of Star Wars. Since I saw the first, right when A New Hope came out and Han Solo was there, Harrison Ford is just like, man. I've had not necessarily like a crush or anything, but he's definitely my favorite Star Wars character, 100%.
Yeah, and you okay? So do you like his not turn, but the evolution of Harrison or not Harrison Han in the because it really comes to a head in Jedi.
Well, Han and Harrison, yes, I love the evolution of them because he does a great job every single time, every movie that he's played in. And I got to be honest with you, the outfit and the blaster, when I first saw that blaster that he had, that was like, I wish there was a gun like that in real life. I wish I could just, tase the people that I want to tase with that thing. It's
the pew pew, and the way his holster is slung over his hip, like it's just, it's so cool, like.
Yeah, he was the outlaw of Star Wars. It was so captivating. It's like I was a huge fan of like Tombstone and all those Western movies back in the day, and seeing Han Solo in a space adventure movie when I first saw Star Wars.
Yep.
It was like, seeing him as the outlaw. I can't take that liking away. He's an amazing character.
So you like when he's obviously like he's a general. He's Solo. It looks like he's going to leave an empire, and he comes back and he gets rescued, and all of a sudden he's right in the thick of it. He's leading the team on the Forest Moon of Endor. Like he's not one of the minions or I guess I'll go help because Leia's going. He goes, no, I'm heading this up, and he didn't even ask anybody to join him. He's like, I didn't want to speak for anybody. It just
He's a true leader. He's a true leader. All right.
He's a great leader, and that's why we'll miss him. All right, Matthew, favorite character. Doesn't have to. It can be legacy. Could be from Jedi. Like obviously as long as they're in Jedi. Let's say that.
I reckon it'd probably have to be Luke, just because I love his arc that goes through it, like the whole wearing black and then that little bit of white at the end where he turns to the light side. But when I was rewatching it last night, when he first comes into Jabba's palace and he's backlit by the bright Tatooine sun, you just see the silhouette. Looks exactly like Vader for mine. Because all you can see is the hooded figure and kind of like, it's a bit dome-like, and then the big cape flying out behind him. I'm like, ooh, that's pretty cool, actually. But also, like, my favorite, like, obscure kind of character is the Rancor Keeper, and just how sad he gets in his little gate. Gets crushed by the gate. I'm like, oh, man. I'd be pretty devastated if my little mate got, crushed by a massive gate by some jerk who wanted to,
live.
Malakili.
Yes.
Malakili,
Look at that. Deep
I knew
catch.
someone would know his name.
So Luke, and this is a huge, because he is actually, there's a lot that goes on here with him. And I was listening to one of George Lucas on the audio commentary, and he goes, the great thing about the third act in these trilogies and this third movie is you get to tie up all the loose ends. The bad thing is you have to tie up all the loose ends. And there's Luke talking with Yoda. Oh, so I am a Jedi. And Yoda's like, whoa, dude. Obviously, we don't see it in the movie, but in the deleted scenes, Vader mentions it. He's constructed his own lightsaber. Green saber is pretty cool. He gets shot in the hand. We get a little reminder of like, he's not completely. He's got some electronics in him, and that pays off later when he faces Vader and he cuts off his hand. Like, so all these little things are dotted out. Is there something about? Is it just because of the completion of his arc in this trilogy, or is it just because, it's Luke?
For me, especially now that I look back in time, I love a redemption story. So even though he was tempted, like no matter how bad you get in life, you can always come back to good. So
right.
I just love that kind of part of it, I reckon, looking back. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, he gets shot in the hand and he looks down and he sees this black hand and looking at the severed hand of Vader, but he also has a black glove. So again, another similarity right there. Like he is his father's son.
He is. So this is, Lucas does that a lot, and he did that a lot with the prequels too. He did a lot of mirroring, shadowing, and forecasting and everything else. And I think I agree with you with the way Luke turned out. It was just fantastic. So, all right,
I want to add something to Luke there for a sec.
Absolutely.
Luke, I was a fan of Luke, but I never really he wasn't my favorite. But when he came out in Return of the Jedi, all dressed in black with a new weapon, with a green saber, to me that really started to make me connect with him a little bit more. He was a little more darker. He was a little more jaded, and I loved his green lightsaber is still my favorite lightsaber, and I love the color and everything. But it was just something about Luke where he was taking control. The whole plan that they made is kind of convoluted, but you knew he walked in, he was taking control. Jabba threatens him. He doesn't budge. He's like, you're the one that's going to suffer for this, not me. I'm standing out here in a plank over this thing that's going to eat me for 1,000 years. But you're the one that's in trouble. You understand this,
Should have
right?
bargained, Jabba.
Yeah, exactly. It completed Luke's character arc. It completed it. It showed a whole nother side of his personality from the previous two movies. So you saw it. It almost made it feel more complete at the end. The hero's journey. You see it in a lot of movies these days. He was written in perfectly in those movies. And the sixth film, when he popped that green lightsaber, it's like, oh man.
I love
He
that
even took
flip back
control.
onto the little sail barge.
Oh yeah,
He even took control in Endor too, because he gets on the ship and he's like, I shouldn't have come. I'm here to help you, but I am going to leave now. I'm going to sacrifice myself, talk to Dad, we'll settle things down. And he's
every Christmas.
Every Christmas I got to deal with this. But it was just a nice character development. So different from the first two, especially the second one where he thought he knew what was going on. Yeah. And he got his ass whipped. And now he's actually like, I'm in control here. I know what to do. And he loses a little bit, but still takes control. And at the very end where he takes the mask off, it's touching.
Yeah. And he's so magnanimous because he goes to Jabba saying, I'll pay you. He's not trying to rip him off. He's like, no, he owes you money. Let's clean this debt up, and we'll get out of here. No, are you sure? Okay, I just killed your Rancor. Are you really sure? And he's trying. He's desperately trying to do it the proper way. He doesn't want to do anything, but Jabba forces his hand. He dies. Same thing on when he's on the forest moon of Endor, and Leia. What's wrong? I'll tell you later, because he knows in the moment. He can't burden her with that knowledge at the moment. You know what I mean? And then until later when they get alone, when they're making the plans, he didn't tell her. But when they were alone and she needed to know, he had a moment with her. He let her know, okay, we're good. And that's why I gotta go. Because it's our dad and I'm the one, and he's the one going to solve it. And he's every step of the way, he's the one giving up the information. He realizes he's a threat to the mission. Okay, I'm just going to go turn myself in. He's not... It's not like Luke where it's like, be like Poe Dameron. Let's hop in the X-Wing and blow something up. He's being very thoughtful and magnanimous through this whole movie. And even in the end, he's like, no, he still believes in his dad. And the only thing that sets him off is when Leia gets threatened. You know what I mean? So... it's fantastic. I totally agree with you. So I'm going to move things along here. We're going to go on. Favorite part. Let's break it up. Jabba's Palace, Forest Moon of Endor, Space Battle, Throne Room. Corey, what do you think?
Yes.
What do you love?
Endor, obviously. It's the most action right there. And you got to see that one Ewok die. So you know what?
Oh, wait, my brother's crying again.
No.
Yeah, no, 100%. It had to have been Endor because it was so beautiful, and all the speeder scenes and everything. It was just so cool. It was such a dynamic scene that you didn't really see at the time when the movie came out. Everything was that fast that the speeders were going. Nobody how did they do that? The CGI, it's so beautiful back then. When I first saw it, I've always wanted one of those speeders, and it. 100% scout. I hope when you get your scout armor, Rob, that you're gonna ride a little better than them. All right, so I'm just saying.
No promises.
Yeah.
Terry does have a miniature speeder.
Oh, nice.
Yes, he does, and so I will probably try and talk him into letting me drive it a bit.
Nice.
So.
Well, they always have them at the. I know they always have them at the conventions. So I'm sure you'll bump into one somewhere where you can actually
someday.
We get a few shots done. On the speeder. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm going to know what Rob's answer is. So I'm going to move on to Matt first here, or second. Matt, what's your favorite? Throne Room, Endor, Space Battle, Jabba.
When I was watching the movie,
yes,
I was making some notes about things that made me smile.
That's a lot of notes.
I got up to 46, and I didn't even get through the whole movie. But I reckon it's got to be the space battle. It's just so brilliantly shot. It's exciting. It's thrilling. It's like incredibly fast paced.
Yep.
And one of the lines, good shot, Red too. My brother and I used that line so many times. We were like playing cricket or kicking a footy around or anything like that. We used a bunch of lines from that movie still.
Yep.
But yeah, I've got to say that space battle, like the music that swells up behind you, like if they go from a scene in the throne room to the space battle, which you hear the John Williams score just arc up again, just bang, you're back and you're flying around. They're heading to the medical frigate.
Yeah.
Even just the initial, it's a trap. I mean, it's just a gorgeous thing. You see all the ships split away from the Death Star. You got Akbar commanding the fleet where to go. I'm like, this is like the best game of Age of Empires ever.
Right.
And then you see the gorgeous shot of all the TIEs swarming over the fleet, and then you get that other brilliant shot, which I love as a still, is the Falcon peeling away. You got the Death Star in the background. You got TIEs everywhere, X-Wings, Y-Wings, everything around you. It's just a brilliant shot.
I want to add something to the space battle. Another one of my favorite characters came out of space battle, and he's still in like episode 8 and 7, Nien Nunb, and something cool about the fact that not only is Lando flying this Falcon, who we've been so used to, Chewie and Han, but now this other alien, we're really given no introduction to this guy, and he's like, you're co-pilot now. yeah. He's just like, boom, he's on. He's got the
just happy to be there.
He's like a sack of pancakes. I love Nien Nunb.
I need a sound bit of you doing his laugh, man.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Was that clean?
I think also too, let's not forget Wedge. He's got a lot of TIE Fighter stamps on the side of his X-Wing, and he's got 2 Death Stars.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I miss him from the new trilogy.
Yeah.
What's that, Matt?
I miss him from the new trilogy. I hope he comes back in the last one, but it's not looking like it. But yeah, he's one of my old timers.
And what were you going to say, Rob?
No, I agree. He's one of my all-time favorite pilots. I really respected him when he was in the first 2 movies. And again, going back to the Rusty Miller book, when I discovered who he was, Rusty Miller taught me who Wedge was. I heard his name, but I never really knew who he was. And then it's just like, now he's in the 3rd movie and he's destroying it and he's taking control of it. And it's just a lot of respect for that.
Awesome. Okay, Rob.
Yeah.
What is your again? We can go Jabba's Palace, Endor, Space Battle, Throne Room. Favorite?
Well, this is hard because they're all so good. I mean, I love the Endor stuff because I'm a big Biker Scout fan. I even went to Redwood Forest in California. I think that's where I filmed, and I even went there and as a kid, and it's just I just love the speeder bikes. They're so cool, especially when you have the Return of the Jedi speeder bikes where you can hit the button and it explodes. That's what was really cool.
But I'm hearing a button there though.
Oh yeah. And but Jabba's Palace was the best for me because I was introduced to all these aliens, some familiar, some new. And as you go back and you rewatch it, you see, I think there's Dengar. Oh my God, there's Bosk. And then, Boba Fett was in there before or after the special editions. And it's just you're seeing all these cool aliens. And as a kid, you're learning them through the action figures. Squid Head, which is eventually you learn is Tessic. And you got not Mon Mothma. It's Elephant Mon and 88 and all these sort of things. And the books that came out of it, like Tales from Jabba's Palace, it went into depth in who these characters were. And it was just like, I love movies with characters. I love movies with different types of characters. And the fact that they're familiar in some of them, there's some recognition and some new stuff as well. And they're just so bizarre. As a kid, you're just like, this is it. This is my thing. And also, Bubbo burping outside is always chuckle worth too.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with you, but I think I'm going to round out the conversation. I can't believe we're going to hit all 4 because for me, it's a Throne Room. Like that is, yes. Yeah. I know they're all good. And again, I'm not. Yeah. I'm just saying, but personally, out of the 4, Throne Room for me, it was the culmination of everything we were waiting for. It was Luke being so awesome. We got the Emperor. We finally got to see how much of a badass he actually is. We got, I mean, like, there's so much going on there. Vader realizing that and again, I'm on the boat though. I'm not going to say Vader's redemption. Vader got pissed off and threw his boss down a pit.
We all want to do.
It's exactly. No, it's a feel good movie for sure. But he did slaughter a lot of younglings. We later learned. So redemption. Destroyed the Empire. Okay, sure, but that's up for debate.
They had it coming.
Yes, but to actually finally side with his kid, like in that looking at it that way, it's like, yeah, of course, like, yeah, it was fantastic. We get actually see Anakin for the first time, which was huge, especially as a 10-year-old in the theater.
Yeah,
it's like Luke taking off that mask. For me, in 1983, that felt like an hour. Like, it just couldn't come off fast enough. Yep. You know what I mean? It's like, what's going on here? Like, like, this is amazing. We're finally going to see Vader because we got a glimpse of him in Empire, but it was like, the back of his head and this and that. It was a lot of the mystery with Vader, and so we get to see him come around and actually help Luke. You mean they win the battle, they win the day. Luke makes it out. You mean they get to go down to the planet and yub nub, and it's for me, yeah, throne room, fantastic. That's
the music from that with the deep choral choir, just the final Darth and Luke hitting each other with the sabers. It's just amazing, and the Emperor playing a royal dick. I mean, it's just like, it's just the way he's so condescending to Luke. Oh, I'm afraid. Oh, look at you. It's just like, oh, you were such a dick.
Yeah, the battle station.
I'm defenseless.
Quite operational when your friends arrive. It's like,
I love his voice.
Douche.
Yeah.
Even for me, like, Ian McDiarmid kind of lost a little bit of the Palpatine vocal patterns in the prequel trilogy for mine. And that stupid rubber mask in
Empire?
It's just, Sith.
Revenge.
Where he gets electrocuted and stuff like that. Like, I'm like, just doesn't look like the Emperor at all. It just looks like a silly rubber mask he's got on.
Yeah, he's just a little puffy. Yeah. He's swollen. Yeah, exactly. He needs some sleep.
Right.
He needs a vaccine. That's what he needs.
So good. Yeah. I loved his intro scene on the Death Star as well. You got the full battalion out waiting for him. You see the Praetorian Guard exit his ship beforehand. That looks amazing. All the TIEs as well, just flying around in his honor. I'm like, oh, this guy's got something going on. He's something special.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we went over some scenes. I'm gonna throw it on. Let's go over like just favorite little snippets, favorite parts. Like for me, the ghost reveal at the end was awesome. 3PO telling his story to the Ewoks of the saga.
Yep.
The sound was fantastic. There's all these. The movie's just full of these moments. The elevator ride with Luke and Vader, or right before that, when it's like when they're talking. No, it's too late for me. Like you start seeing a little humanity in Vader. I'm gonna throw it to Corey.
Yep.
You got any special moments from this movie that you just want to?
Well, okay. I do love the when the Ewoks take down an AT-ST. That was fun.
Yes.
All right. But I have to bring it in a different direction. Battlefront 2, Star Wars, the video game, actually had they revisited the scene where Luke and Vader talk to each other with video game graphics and everything. It put a whole new light to that scene for me when I watched the movie again.
Right.
So I'd have to say it has to be that moment when they're talking on that the skywalk, I guess, right there on Endor together. Yeah, that was such a good scene. Oh, so emotional. Dang it.
Yeah, and and Han saying "I love you." I think it was the first time. You know what I mean? Like, and Leia finally going, "I know."
Yeah,
it's so satisfying.
Yeah, duh. Did you see my metal bikini? No.
Oh, whoa.
No. I should mention something about that too. For me, it'll always be Hoth Leia. That is picturesque, like as far as starlit movie star, beautiful.
Yep.
But I was 10 metal bikini was just a little out of my wait. What's going on?
Never got
here?
into the bikini.
Exactly.
Never got into it. That's just because I think I knew that she was being held against her will. Even as a kid, I was just
that's
like,
a dampener, and also too being 10. If you asked me when I was 13, I might have had a different story. But
exactly, yeah, can't keep
well, I mean, Lonnie Anderson from WKRP still piqued my interest.
Well, yeah. I mean, that might have been just general hunger. You mean?
My.
Oh. So,
General Hunger.
General Hunger. Yeah, he did not appear in the movie. So, Matthew, favorite snippets, little tiny parts. Just hit us with them.
I'm looking over my notes, and there are so many. I don't know, fly casual. We're getting hungry and just going to that bit of meat up on the thing. And it's like, oh yeah, I can see that there. When Ben starts talking about his certain point of view and how much I've realized they're like, actually, that still influences me. I'm like, okay, I've got my point of view. Try and see theirs, because they could be influenced by a whole other spectrum of ideas or thoughts, or just like, oh, okay, I see what you're getting at there. Akbar, I think he's just amazing. Luke's lightsaber flip back up into the sailboat and catching his saber, and that first, you see it's green. It's, oh my goodness. Even who are you? Someone who loves you, Leia.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Chewie.
Just so many, you rebel scum. The way my opener, it's still a favorite of mine. The log passing song for the Ewoks when they're going to cook Han, Leia, and everyone.
Oh yeah,
not Leia. But,
yeah.
Nice.
I even like their little chants.
Didn't somebody mention that? Wasn't it weird that they already had clothes for Leia? Was that from a previous meal? Like,
goodness, never thought.
And then you had
that.
a braid hair.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can understand braiding hair. They got lots of hair, but you know what I mean. But yeah, Leia had a change of clothes, or the Ewoks happen to have that lying around.
From our last visitor.
Yes, exactly. All right, Rob Williams. Like, what's just snippets? Like, just pepper us. What do you got for this favorite part?
Well, what I found really cool was when we're in Jabba's palace, we're in the dark for so long. The last light we really see, or the first light we really see is when Luke comes in. And then we're in the dark. We're with the Rancor. We're in the pits. We're just horsing around. Then finally, when they decide, okay, we're out to go visit Sarlacc, you are just blinded by the desert. And it's just like, it's shocking. Even now, when I watched it, it was like, we went from the dungeon to sheer brightness. And then Han Solo's like, now all I see is a white blur. And it's just like, exactly. You get hit by this light, and it's great. I don't know how you call it, videography or editing or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. It's just great imagery to see the brightness coming at you from this, from being in the dark for so long. And I really enjoyed that part. I mean, and I also said Nien Nuns just laugh and Lando just yapping away at each other.
Do it again, please. Do it again.
Yeah. It's a little higher, but little things like Ben Burt making a cameo appearance and getting offed. And it's kind of neat. Remember the guy where they're in the base on Endor, and he gets hit and goes over the railing somewhere down in the bunker area. Yep. That's Ben Burt.
Okay, did they use the Wilhelm scream on that too?
What he did is he did the Wilhelm scream himself. He voiced it himself personally, and to imitate it. So it wasn't the actual Wilhelm scream, but he would try to imitate in his own actual voice.
Yes.
And so that's what he did. So
yes, because they did use it earlier on the barge too, right? On Jabba's barge.
Probably.
And to those not in the know, that scream, it's particular. What's the exact pronunciation, Rob?
What, the Wilhelm scream?
Wilhelm, yeah. Okay, so
that I think it's based off an old country, an old Western movie or so.
Yeah,
he's getting eaten by a crocodile or something.
So but it's in every movie since then, just about.
Yeah.
So for sound editors and they try to shoehorn it in, and of course Star Wars has tons of, and that makes total sense about having Ben actually try to mimic that instead of using it. I had no idea he did that. That's amazing. What do you think? I was born here. Well, you're going to die here. Han and Luke. Like it just.
He's such a positive person, isn't he?
He is. He's amazing. So awesome. Okay, so what we're gonna go on. Just a quick recap. What's this movie? Kind of quick 2 minutes. What's this movie mean to you? What is it? Where does it sit for you? And I'm sure just after this conversation, and we don't try to make these love fests, but with a lot of these retrospectives, when I reach out to people in the Commonwealth and say, hey, I'm going to talk about Empire, I'm going to talk about Jedi, it's usually a love fest because, like, oh, I have to talk about this because this is my favorite, or it's one of my tops, or I got a precious memory. So, Matthew, real quick, what's this movie mean to you? What's this, if you had to bottle it up and sell it?
So much. Like, it's definitely the one I watched the most. Like, when I was watching it last night, I was looking at my fiance and I was repeating the lines word for word pretty much, and all the beats, all the cues, it's the one for me, I think. Like, Rogue One, it would come close. It'll always come close, but yeah, this is definitely the one for me. Like, all the little scenes that just make me smile, flying into the Death Star, just there's so much good about this movie. It's hard to, like, I know you go, oh, that's a bit weird or whatever for various bits and pieces, but it's just the good just dominates the bad from this movie. It's just magnificent. And I actually heard recently from the Fat Man and Batman podcast. It might have been like an older episode, but they were talking about how when Han steps on that twig, that is what causes the success of the Rebels. Because if they don't do it, then the bikers don't fly off. Leia doesn't find the Ewoks. Ewoks don't help the Rebels.
Yeah.
It could have been a completely different story. The Ewoks could have gone, who are these Rebels? We'll just kill them. They're probably the bad guys as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Effect. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Okay, Corey.
Well, I saw all three of these movies before Phantom Menace came out when I was really young. I was a young little tyke, okay? So when I saw the last movie, this one that we're talking about, it filled me with so much wonder. And then, I was given Legends books from my stepdad, like, here, read this, Luke's Academy and everything after that, all the stuff that it filled me with so much, like, oh, I want more. And then when Phantom Menace came out for the first time, it satisfied a need that I didn't even think that I had at that moment. But I wouldn't have had these needs. I would have had this awesome attraction to a movie if it wasn't for this movie. Dang it. That long for wanting, that long for just wanting to write my own fictional stories about Star Wars or pretending to be a Jedi in the shower or something. It's some oh my.
Playing with the lightsaber. See?
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it gave me a whole new visual, I guess, on life itself. It gave me hope. So it was nice. It was nice.
Makes a lot of sense. Rob.
Return of the Jedi was my last hurrah at childhood. It was pretty much, like I said, I was 11, going on 12, going on to high school. In high school, back in 83, 84, 85, 86, you weren't playing with toys anymore. You weren't watching Star Wars anymore. And we did an episode on GXW called The Dark Times. It was episode 122. And we talk about how we're so removed from Star Wars now and how it's not cool. It's you still like Star Wars and you're supposed to grow up now.
Great episode, by the way.
Oh, thank you. And shameless plug. But it was my last hurrah at childhood. It was my last hurrah at toys and action figures and enjoying something as Star Wars, even though I secretly did not give it up. Even in high school, I would still collect toys, but it'd be less and less. I would still watch the movies, but it'd be less and less. I would still just cling to this childhood wonder, and it would be less and less. And then when episode 1 came out, which is one of my favorite movies as well. And again, it's not a movie that's good. It's just a wonderful movie.
It's a good movie.
Like, I'm going to tell you, like, Rogue One is at the bottom of my list. It's a great movie.
Okay.
But it's at the bottom of my list because it doesn't hold the same childhood wonder as Return of the Jedi does. It's too grown up for me. And I still stick to these sort of movies that have this connection. And whether it's right or wrong, it's just what it is. And I will never forget collecting the toys, the weirdness of it, the fun of it, the original, my brother's crying in the parking lot. It'll never forget all that sort of stuff. And it's good memories of which I believe is a good childhood.
I'm going to shadow your remarks there too, because I saw a meme not too long ago. It says, there was a day in your life where you got up, got dressed, ate, and went out to play with your friends for the last time, and you had no idea it was the last time.
Mm-hmm.
You mean there's
Dude.
I know, but it's exactly, but for these movies, and I don't want to speak for Rob, but I can say I've mentioned this before, where Star Wars has always just kind of it hit the right spots for me. I was a kid during the original trilogy. My favorite collectible, I have the Burger King tumbler glasses from all 3 OT movies back here in my display case. And I love them because I remember waking up on a Saturday morning and watching cartoons and drinking out of my Lando glass. Like, there's things that's so nostalgic. And then when the prequels, like Rob was saying, where like you kind of had to hide your fandom during high school, but the prequels came out when we were old enough to go, you know what? I'm old enough where I know it doesn't matter if you think this is uncool. I'm going to like it anyway. I'm sure, Rob, you can agree with me. Like, if the prequels came out when we were in grade 9 and 10, we would have to be like, am I going to wear my Jedi robes to the premiere? Am I going to? It would be very awkward. But you know what? The prequels came out when it was like, you know what? I don't care what you think. This is who I am, and I'm going to love it, and I'm not afraid to tell everybody. And
that's what I appreciate about this generation now. They've accepted the cosplay. In fact, if you're not cosplaying, you seem to be out of it.
Yeah.
And I go to these conventions, I go to these movies, and they're all dressed up. And so, you'll see some guy dressed up as Bib Fortuna now going, "Oh, wanga wanga," and it's not. It doesn't phase you at all.
Yeah.
Kibona. I love the wanga wanga.
Exactly, and again,
so
also too with the sequel trilogy. Now it's hit us when Rob and I, when we have kids of the age to start enjoying these things. So it's I don't want to speak for Rob, but like I'm sure it's the same when it mirrors our life, where Star Wars hit perfect, and like you said, Jedi was the end of our childhood trilogy. And it kind of bookended our childhood, and then now we get to move on and enjoy it. Now we have different memories with the prequels, and we're enjoying new memories with our kids with the sequels and the standalones. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm very curious to see what my son will get into. He's 7 right now. He does not like Star Wars. He's and it's okay. I'm accepting of that. Right now, he's presently watching Yu-Gi-Oh. He's into Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
He's into Pokemon. That's what he is. But in like 4 years, when 4 years or 3 years, see what happens, and he'll be into other stuff. I mean, for us, Star Wars was everything. I don't think it has the same impact now as it did then, because we're exposed less. YouTube was not around, so we're exposed to less information. Everywhere you went was pretty much 3 franchises when we were kids: He-Man, G.I. Joe, or Star Wars. And there were other smaller ones, and eventually Ninja Turtles, whatever. But now you're exposed to so much. I mean, I just saw a guy called Unspeakable. He does Minecraft videos. This guy, he's like 22, 23, owns a house, owns a Ferrari, owns he's $10,000 cash doing this competition. This guy's rich because kids watch Minecraft videos. The variety is so out there right now. And even though Star Wars is being marketed more than it has ever been in its entire life, it's still not as precious as it was back in the original trilogy days.
Well, I don't know. I bought Kylo Ren cutie oranges in California over here. All right, and they were pretty good. Yeah, they tasted better with Kylo Ren's face on them. All right, so
that's like anything. I'm sure Rob will there's so many things from growing up with Star Wars and must-see TV. Like Thursday night lineup in the 80s was you had to sit down, you couldn't miss it. There's a bunch of it's just different now, but again, I love where it's going, and I'm just so happy to be part of it, doing this little kind of niche podcast on the side. It's really nice to be with fans like you guys and fellow podcasters, and I love doing it. It's fantastic, and it's I don't know, will it end? Maybe. But, today, it's awesome. So I'm going to pass it around real quick. I'm gonna go around the table. You can let everybody know where people can find you, where you can find if you have a show or whatever you want to promote. Just go ahead. I'm gonna throw it to Matthew first. If someone on Twitter or anywhere else wants to talk to the Australian, where can people find you?
The Australian, the only one. I'm just on Instagram, Gilbert-Licious, and I'm on Twitter as well. I think I'm a similar handle. Let me have a look. Yeah, Gilbert-Licious on Twitter as well. So hit me up, ask me any questions, or especially about Return of the Jedi Rogue One. They're my absolute favorites.
Here's a question: Where'd you get your handle name from?
What's this? It was Fergie-licious back in the day, probably.
Well, that could be worse. It could have been like from Taipei or somewhere, or some weekend away with the boys.
My AussieHumps.com.
Yes.
Wow.
And a fine hump they are, sir. I've got a thing about my last name, Gilbo. Like, I've got my name on like Monopoly boards, underwear, beers. Like, my mates have just gone nuts. I'm my own brand over here, apparently. So yeah, you just got to own a nickname, otherwise it'll own you.
It will. It will. All right, Corey, what do you got going on? I know what it is, but let's tell the good people.
You can find us at the Big Open Podcast, and it's definitely an R-rated podcast. You don't listen to it if you're young, I guess. Do if you want. I don't care. But definitely bring some muffled earphones. But yeah, it's a Big Open Podcast. Or on Twitter, you look me up at Riley TBO. Other than that, you can find us at bigopenpodcast.com or the Big Open Podcast anywhere. You'll find us there. Just look for the fox and the sponge. All right.
Gather around, my son. I'm going to teach you about furries. Come.
This episode, Ewoks. Okay.
Foundation furries. All right.
Before that gets out of hand, Rob Williams, tell the good people where the people can find you.
Personally, you can find me at the Outer Rim Rookie. It's a YouTube show that we do on Generation X-Wing YouTube page. It's about me putting the armor together for Scout Trooper. So if you're interested in joining the 501st, have questions, come see me on YouTube, Outer Rim Rookie. And me and my co-host Terry both get together and we build armor. Terry's extremely talented. You can find him at Panda Props Costumes on Instagram, as well as my own personal show my own podcast with my co-host Steve 3, Anil Sharma, and Jamie Millman. We are the Generation X-Wing podcast. So we talk about Star Wars, but mostly talk about other retro stuff. It's 80s, 90s retro talk, and we've been a little bit on hiatus because it's Christmas season, but we'll be back at it in the new year, celebrating our third year. I believe it's 3 years. Yeah, so 175 episodes so far.
Damn.
And we got a new mic thanks to the Commonwealth. It is freaking sweet, and it sounds really good. And hopefully it's coming across in this episode because this is where I'm using one of the new mics. So
fantastic.
We have a lot of fun. Check us out on Facebook, on Twitter at Gen X Wing, on Instagram. We have Patreon. We have TeePublic shirts is for sale, and find us at GenerationXWing.com. So hopefully you enjoy our show.
Excellent. And you can find myself. I am at Robert MMCast on Twitter and Cast1973 on Instagram. Of course, you can find me on my other show on Talk Star Wars. It's the TSW Comics. Corey, you're pumping your fist. Not yet. And I do that show with my good buddy Tim. Again, Christmas holidays. We've been on a little hiatus. We'll be back in the new year. To wrap
this
up
comes out in February, too, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Hardly my faux pas, but... And also, I do a weekly show, the Roman Pod and Cast. It is like Corey's. It is not for young ears, but if you're
such a good show.
Thank you, Corey. If you're in for a laugh once a week and you got some commute time where you're on your own or you got headphones or alone in the car, check us out, Roman Pod and Cast. Me and my buddy Roman have a good time, and we just don't take anything seriously. Just try to make you laugh. So this is gonna wrap it up.
Thank you for doing this, Rob.
Oh, hey, thank you, guys, for being on. This is awesome, and
thank you so much.
For me, this is a true passion project, and I love doing these retrospectives, and I love doing the roundtable. And again, thank you, Rob Wade. He recently picked up the reins at Talk Star Wars this year, and it's been going fantastic. And I just I love being a part of this, and this is my little niche into the Commonwealth. I like to put it as if all the different shows are planets in our Star Wars Commonwealth solar system. I'm like a little moon circling around, talk Star Wars. You know, that's no moon. But so
We're on the planet that's farthest from them.
That's right.
Oh my God.
So
you do have to check out the Commonwealth, though. We have 10 shows, fantastic shows, and you'll find something for you, whether you're into comic books, whether you're into the just general Star Wars talk. There's long shows, there's short shows, there's everything in between. You will find something that you like.
Yeah. Even if you don't want to hear Star Wars too often, the Commonwealth, they every show has different episodes about personal life or different movies or anything, especially the Generation X-Wing podcast. Rob's podcast is amazing. You should listen to it. I have so many emotions. Yeah. Thank you. I'm just saying.
Well, and also too, if you have any interest in anything, we have myself, Astromech builders, people in the 501st, trying to join the 501st. People just different sides of collecting, vintage and new collecting, and all sorts of comics. Anything you need, if you reach out to Star Wars Commonwealth, any questions about anything Star Wars, whether it's Legends or new canon or whatever you want, someone will be able to answer, because it's impossible for all of us to know everything. But we got somebody on the job for whatever your Star Wars needs might be. So until next time, what do we got next? We got The Force Awakens. Oh, no, sorry. No, we got a little Clone Wars movie we got coming up next.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, well, we got to throw it in there. It was projected in a movie theater. So we're
Yes, it was. It's often ignored when you talk about your favorite movies.
It is, but we're gonna throw it in there. We're gonna have a little roundtable, and also too, and what it started. I'm sure there's a lot of history and a lot of what it did for Star Wars at the time, and especially the dark times. So stay tuned for that. Again, gentlemen, Corey, Matthew, Rob, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
All right.
Yeah.